Quick shot that we have is actually about Kojima. I know we had talked last week about well, it was last week, right? That we talked about the director's cut, Death Stranding director's cut and whatnot. So it looks like Kojima actually wasn't that pleased about the director's cut talk that was getting put out. I guess he doesn't even like the name director's cut.
He clearly like this irked him enough to make a post about it,
to tweet about it, right?
Because you would think it was like, well, I disagree with that, but whatever. He would just keep his mouth shut.
Which is weird because your game is titled as a director's cut, so like you had no say.
And that's another thing too.
And
like
how the game
it sounds like he had no say.
Yeah.
But I think that's because like we were talking before the show that I just think he let Sony market it for him.
Right.
Because they have all the marketing money. He just makes games, you know. But he definitely didn't really like, clearly, if it irked you enough to make a post about it, a tweet about it, then it means that he really didn't like it. He didn't like his game being called the director's cut. And basically, I'll read the quote for you. This is what he said on Twitter. He said, "A director's cut in a movie is an additional edit to a shortened version that was either released reluctantly because the director did not have the right to edit it, or because the running time had to be shortened," which we all agree. Oftentimes, a movie gets shortened, or it's too long, so they cut things out of it. So It's not the director's full vision, right? Like with the Snyder Cut. There's a lot cut from that movie. In the game, though, it is not what was cut, but what we additionally produced that we included in this new edition. So how about Director's Plus? He says. So in my opinion, I don't like to call it a director's cut. That's what he said on Twitter.
Right. So I know that in the comments of last week's video clip that we put out for talking about Kojima and Death Stranding director's cut, somebody had mentioned in there that there was already guns and stuff like that, in the game. I can't remember the full details of the comment, but he was saying that there was pretty much a lot of that stuff that was already in there that was being shown.
Right.
But this sounds like, this isn't just like, some stuff that was clipped out. Like they worked on some things and added more stuff into the game. So, I mean, that sounds like, good news in there. And I'm surprised about, the stuff, but I always see the videos of like packages getting shipped and dropped off and stuff like that when the game is advertised or even brought up by other people. So it always leads me to believe that that's all this game has. So, I mean, I might just try to grab it just because, it's on the cheap thing.
The thing is, I think it is. Like, I know that guy commented saying, no, there is guns, but I do think that while we never said that there wasn't guns. We just weren't sure to the extent or how many guns there were. But I do think that the game is encouraging you to avoid combat, like to get to run past or like get through an area or sneak by, like not engage, someone who could hurt you or take your package from you. Yeah. I do think the game is encouraging that route of play more to where it is more like FedEx the game. Where I don't think we're completely wrong there, where it feels like in the trailers that we've been given, they are very much so emphasizing combat, right? Where it didn't seem like they were emphasizing that before.
Showcased on there seemed like it had more action in there than...
Right. They were really showcasing the action too. Like, hey, look at new melee moves. Look at a package delivery launch system. Right? Where you can launch your package over long distances. Clearly, I'm thinking to cut time. Like, in my opinion, I think this is what you were saying before. They heard the community. They heard some of the complaints about the game. That it was a little boring. Right? And they went in and made additional content to add into the game to kind of change its direction. And that's what... it worked because it excited me. So
Right.
what they showed me excited me. It alleviated my concerns with what, at least how I perceived the game to be, which is FedEx the game.
Right.
I perceived it to be that way. Yeah, maybe I have to buy the game and actually dive into it to learn that there's a lot more to this game than just delivering packages.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that's how I perceived it. Like you said, every trailer I saw, all the gameplay clips I saw
It's
was me
docile
running
gameplay.
around.
I mean, you've seen some of the like invisible monsters or whatever that's in there, and the baby and stuff like that. But it just seems like it's a different version of like Plague's Tale. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
you just get it through the game. You're not really combat's not like the high priority on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's how I perceived it too.
It's just story. It's just story. You know.
That's how I perceived it too.
So
So, I mean, what we said last week about the director's cut was that we thought this game fit the title director's cut better than like Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Tsushima
Right.
because the content was mixed into the game. So it feels like a different retelling or a different style of how the game plays.
Right.
Where Ghost of Tsushima director's cut is just bolting
Tacking
things on.
something on at the
Yeah,
very
it's
end.
not like incorporating it and it's a whole new experience now.
Right.
Where Death Stranding feels like it's going to be a whole new experience. So using
even
them,
if you did play it the first time from
even
beginning
if you
to
did
finish.
play it, it's going to
Right.
feel like a whole new way of playing the game.
Yeah.
So I think tacking on, that moniker or whatever, director's cut, is appropriate for Death Stranding, where it may not, in my opinion, be very appropriate for more Ghost of Tsushima.
Right.
But Kojima thinks it's not appropriate for any of these games to be called director's cuts.
Yeah, which they should just name a DLC.
Yeah, I don't know why is Sony feeling
Or
this
something,
need
but I
to
guess it's-
call them director's cuts. Like,
I don't know, maybe because it just sounds better. It just sounds like
Maybe.
ooh, like the director, Kojima just like left some shit out, and so he's like gonna put it in here now, and it's gonna be super long, and it's gonna be super weird or some shit. I don't know.
so it just makes you want to buy it again.
It's
versus
more enticing.
Like,
A director's cut is more enticing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You can't name everything like the Snyderverse or something like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's just like a catchy name, and it kind of alludes to something. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think
But
it
it
draws
might not
people
be
like
that.
you and I in too, because it's like if Death Stranding didn't really appeal to me before, adding DLC won't appeal to me now because it's the same. It's the same game.
Right.
But
right.
if you call it director's cut, it makes it seem like it's a whole new experience, right? Like the Snyder Cut was a completely different movie than the original Justice League. Like it's just completely different. I don't know if you've watched it or not,
I have.
but it's like
It's
a whole
definitely
different feel,
Yeah.
a whole different pacing. All the characters feel different. I mean, it's just a different movie in a
Yeah.
lot of ways,
And
so,
it was interwoven.
and it was
within
interwoven
the movie,
into
so
the
it
movie.
was watching a whole different
Right.
movie.
Where I think you're right, where Sony is trying to make new people want to jump in and play it rather than just recapturing their current base with DLC.
Yeah.
Right. So
But
I love you, me.